Okay. And can you guys see my screen? I've got just my little short list here of the changes we're going to make.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I can.
All right, cool. I just kind of wanted to go through these one at a time just to basically confirm on the changes that we're going to be making here. And if I'm going too fast or if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me and stop me. I won't be offended at all. So, all right. I guess before we get started, do you guys have any questions for me that you want to get out of the way, or should we just get going?
Um, Valerie, the only question I had asked him so far was, would he be able to start this before we start our data conversion? And he said yes. So I guess like any field names or mapping or whatever can be incorporated once we have our data.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I will probably
Yeah,
get
I don't.
started as soon as we got the phone call. Actually, I'll probably get started on this. So.
Yeah, I can't think of anything. You might trigger a question, but I don't have a question
Okay.
starting.
Well, like I said, feel free to interrupt me if that happens. But um,
Okay.
okay, so let's just go through these one at a time. And if, like I said, if I leave anything out, let me know. But so the first thing we've got CEU tracking to custom fields and fields options. Now I'm going to pull up my page here. I'm just going to show you where I would add this at. Let me get into an event reg here. This guy. Sorry, I meant to have this up and I totally forgot.
It was all my chit chat about the multiple names.
Blame the client. Yes, that's my goal. Okay,
I'll
so
take it.
what's that?
I'll take the blame this time.
Fair enough. All right, so where I would add the CEU fields at would be in the custom field options. So this is where you would create all your sessions. So you've got, sessions with speakers that people are going to attend and things like that. That's where all these things are going to go. So what I was thinking is when you add a custom field here, in addition to all this data right here, I'll add a couple new fields for water credits, wastewater credits, and PDH credits. And those will all just be a field right down in there that you can enter for each one of these. And I got those from looking at, where was that again? From your transcript here. Now, are those the only types of credits that they can earn, those three different types right here?
For now, if we needed to add additional ones in the future to be more specific, because
Mm-hmm.
there are different types of wastewater licenses and water licenses, would we be able to go back and change it for events going forward to add additional? I mean, obviously, I know it would be another customization, but
Right. Yeah, yes and no. I can very easily add if you come to me in a month and say, "Oh, we need a new type of credit for this that we need to keep track of for events." That's no problem for me to add. Once I've got the setup in there, it shouldn't take very long at all to add something like that. The only problem would be is if you said, "Oh, we have this new type of PDH credits and we need to split all the old ones and and do some kind of like that with old data," then we're going to have trouble. But if you just need to add a new one at any point, that won't be very difficult.
yeah. I mean, right now, I don't foresee when that would happen, but I'm always fearful that the states are going to want us to break it down
Hmm.
for specific at some point. But it would be for events going forward, not
Yeah.
for past.
Yeah, for anything going forward, if you want to add a new one, no problem. That probably wouldn't take me more than an hour or two at any time to add a new one and change the outputs and stuff. It's just the going back in the past data that would be difficult. But if it's only for ones going forward, yeah, no problem. We can always add a new one in the future.
All right, that sounds great.
Okay, perfect. Um, oh, and I was going to add them. Let's see. Excuse me. So I'll add them here, and then I'll also add on. Let me go back one for selection options here. We can have an overall selection field, and then when we go forward, we end up with all these different options. So I'll add them to the options as well. So, and the way that I usually do this stuff is if we have a selection field and then we have selection options, stuff in the option setup would trump the overall selection field. So say you set up credits in the selection field, but then the option that they pick has different ones, it'll use those instead of using the main ones. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay. Either way, it will give you more options for what you need to do. I did have a question though, getting back to this transcript here. Now, you've got stuff that shows up on here. Is that determined only by if they have a positive amount in one of the credit fields, or do you need a separate field to say, I need this one to show up on the transcript no matter what?
Um, the way it works right now is the information from the transcript. So I would put in all of the sessions for one event.
Mm-hmm.
So say this event probably had, at least 5 more sessions that Valerie didn't attend.
Okay.
So I would have set up in the event itself all of those 10 sessions, and then she had scanner data that I guess would show as a positive that she had gone to that.
Okay. Okay,
With
so
the
we're only
attendee,
looking at ones with attendance data in here then, right?
yes, to show up on the transcript. We
Okay.
don't need to show that they didn't go. We just need to show the ones that they did attend.
Okay, perfect. Let me just make a note on that.
And I'm happy at any point to give you old data because I would like to, I'm going to want to eventually load our old data into, because we only have a couple years worth of events
Mm-hmm.
in our old system, and we'd like for people to be able to sign in and see all of their CE,
Okay.
since the beginning of our scanning system, which was 2013.
Yeah, no, that would be great. This is what I usually tell clients too. You can't send me enough data. So if you have things that you think might be relevant, go ahead and send it to me. Even if it doesn't come in handy, it might. You know what I mean? Or it might give me a better idea. It
I could
certainly won't hurt anything. So.
pick one of our smaller events maybe and just go ahead and set it up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or you can set it up as you need to test it, and then I can compare it to make sure everything
Yep.
is working.
I can set up the events and we can test it that way. We won't be able to test the attendance data until the data conversion is done though, because those do link together. So we would be looking for member data there. But we can get everything set up. Basically, we can get everything set up and then we can do the testing once the data's in there and make sure everything is good and tweak it if we need to. But yeah, that's definitely something that we can do. All right, let me go back to this here. So, okay, so I think we're set on that one. Any questions about the CEUs or how those are going to be set up?
The only thing is I just wanted to confirm that in the end, when we have, after an event, that we'll be able to email the transcripts in one batch. So like I could set it up to basically send to every person who attended that generated a transcript, they would get an individual email. I don't have to send them like to individual people. I could send it as a batch email.
Yeah, that was actually a good question. That's coming on the next one here. That was actually a question I had for you. What we have right now is whenever somebody registers for an event, they get a confirmation email. And so we can generate something like that, like a transcript with that. Now, when they register, though, we probably won't have any attendance data, so those will be blank. Um, so I was definitely going to make a batch for you, some kind of button that'll say, click here, email everybody who has a transcript for this event. So yeah, so we can do it in one shot. And then I'll also make a separate icon where put it next to each person's attendance name, and that you can click that and send them just their individual transcript if you wanted to.
So they would have a button where they could, if they had signed into the system to register, they could go back in at any time and get their confirmation or get their transcript after the event, of course. Like we'd have to put some kind of disclaimer that only available after, because people,
Right.
if there's a button, they
Right now, those functions are admin only. So admins have to send those. But there's no reason I couldn't make them.
I was just seeing that being a lot of questions.
Yeah. So either way that you want it, like I said, right now it's admin only. So somebody has to request the admin to send them their confirmation email again, or the transcript. But we can make it a member function if you'd prefer that. So.
Okay.
The only way you might run into trouble with that one is if somebody registers not as a member and they don't have any way to access the members area, then there's no way they could get that themselves.
No, we definitely want to be able to send it in one batch to say, okay, they've been sent, and then whether they're members or not, just whoever attended.
Okay.
And then after that, I mean, most people save them, but I need to look them up for people from time to time. But we had actually talked about them being able to see a list of what they had attended and how many hours they should have seen, in a different.
We actually, let me show you this here. This actually will probably come in very handy for you. We have a simple little page here that we can enable once this loads. Where is it on here? The site's hard as our testing site. We have everything enabled on this one. Okay, prior event registrations right here. So we have this one here. If you click on that, that will show them details of every event that they've ever attended. And so there would be no issue with me to add another column in here and put a little email icon for the transcript and have them email that to themselves. Or even just a view icon where they can go and they can view it quickly. So that'd probably be the best one for that.
Sure. I think a view would be great. It
Okay.
would be good.
Note on that.
Something they would be able to. I'm hoping it will be a PDF that is generated.
Yes. What I typically do here, I can show you this, just so you get an idea of how I set these things up generally. Let's see. Okay, so here is a check-in process that I've made, and we can print badges like this, and they do generate off as a PDF. Whoops, print right now. So this is just junk data, that's why it looks like that. But with every single one, I make two options. So we can get a regular PDF like this, or we can get an HTML output like this. So I typically will do it both ways, just to make it easier for people. Because I have run into problems with PDFs where somebody will put in some long, huge non-breaking string and it will break the PDF, and there's nothing we can do about that. But we can always generate it as HTML also. So I'll definitely build that into your transcript. You'll have an option for both.
Yeah, I think they usually, if they need it again, they want to print it.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as they'll be able to have something they can print.
Yep, that will not be a problem at all.
Oh, okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
Just listen to you guys talking. When they finish an event and Valerie sends out that batch email, currently what happens is there is an attachment, which is the attachment that we've been looking at for myself. Is that the same process that's going to happen, or is it going to be a link back to their page that says this is your transcript?
What I'm probably going to do to generate this, in programming we have something called a function where I can program it once and then I can call it later if I need to. So what I'll probably do is I'll make a function that will generate basically this text. And so then I will write a couple pages. I'll write a PDF page that will pull in that function and then just format it as a PDF. And I'll write an email function that will pull that in, and then it will just display it in the middle of the email. Or if you wanted to, I could make it into a PDF and we could attach it that way. There's limitless opportunities to do what we want here. So it really would be up to you guys on what you wanted to do with this.
Well, Valerie, what do you?
For me personally, I have to keep up with my PDHs. I would like an attachment that then I could save to my computer, and I have a file of all my transcripts. That's what I like personally.
Yeah, no problem.
Like
we can definitely do that. Like I said, we're already making a PDF version, so it's going to be no difficulty to make a PDF already and then attach it to the email. So.
Okay. And so then the next step is if that person gets the email, they can't find their transcript. As a member, they could log back in to our website as a member and go to their member portal, I guess, and then find their old transcripts by looking at past event history. Is that what I'm meaning?
Exactly. Yep. And so that page that we just looked at to show the prior events, that's exactly where I would add that in. So they would go to there, look at their past events, and then they could view their transcript for any of those.
Okay, perfect.
Good. Okay, so let me just make a note of that. So we're going to make the PDF, and then we're going to attach to transcript email. Okay, and I'm assuming you would like the email that's going to go out. Is that going to be like the same message each time, or are you going to need to change that on every time you email it out, or how is that going to work?
It would be best if we can customize it because sometimes we'll put a message in, or usually I give them the opportunity to say, no, you guys didn't get the scanner data right. I attended this other session, or just an opportunity for appeal, as it were. So usually we change some dates and things like that. So custom each time would be best.
Okay. And is this exactly how you want it to output? Is this exactly how you'd want it to look here in this format?
I like this format.
Yes, I do too. Yeah, I'm very happy with this format.
Okay, great. I will replicate that then. So we're going to use.
We are having our logo redesigned.
Okay.
So that won't won't be the correct logo.
That's not an issue. I'll leave that one in there for now. But as long as it's roughly the same size and it doesn't, it's as long as it doesn't like change the position or something massively, it's easy just to pop in a new one when you want to. So that will not be an issue at all. All right. So how's that one? And then just so I can confirm, these transcripts, they're just going to be generated on a per event basis, right? You don't have like an overall transcript that they need to run or something?
Actually, go ahead, Valerie.
Well, I was going to say, as long as they can look it up, our members can look it up at any time. I don't know that we need to try to make that yearly one.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's up to you.
Well, and I can say this too, as long as it's the same data, if you decide in 6 months, hey, it'd be really useful to have this one for the year thing, let me know, and that's definitely something that we can build at a later point. So it's not something that has to be done right now.
Okay.
So
I think it would be awesome to, as a way to encourage people to log in, to that as that yearly one, just to make them just have one more reason to go into the site.
Okay.
Because we're going to be trying to train them to have a login with us.
Well, I can tell you this, it's far easier for me. So like when I have a template like this to work from, this will make this, I'll be able to make this pretty quickly because I know exactly what it's going to look like. I have a lot of clients that come to me though and say, oh, I need a report that has this. And I'll say, okay, what do you want it to look like? And they'll say, oh, I don't know. And then, it takes about triple the time because I'll make it and they'll go, oh, well, I don't want it to look like that. I want it to look like this. And, so we get through that. So from my perspective, if you wanted a yearly report like that, if you put together a template and send it to me and say, hey, Bill, we want it to look exactly like this and have this data, it takes me almost no time at all once I get something like that to write it. So
when we did the yearly, basically was every event individual one combined into one PDF, if that helps you. Like it looked exactly like this, but if she had 10 events, then she got 10 transcripts all combined.
Well, if that's the case, I could do that pretty easily, actually. Because I mean, we're already going to be generating this on a per event basis. And so once I've already gotten a function written to do that, to tell it to just continue to go through and create more based on more events, I could easily do that. It would only take an extra hour or two probably to this.
Valerie, I kind of want to go ahead and do that to have it in case, we have some users that just can't figure it out, or it just becomes an easier to send them their full year.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
So, yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, that'll probably add about 2 hours to it, but I don't think that will be very difficult to add and have this go. So let me just make a note of that. Hours 2. And what I would probably do is let you pick a start date and an end date and then run the report based on those. And then that would collect the PDFs together based on the start and the end dates that you picked.
Yeah, that's
okay. It'll be a calendar year.
Okay. And would this be something that you would want the members to do themselves in addition to the admins?
I think if they have the full list, they could click on them individually, and we would just send it one time.
Okay.
What do you think, Valerie?
If they could do it themselves, how would that work?
Basically, they would go onto that. Where did I get to? Let me go back to this page so you can get a concrete example of where it would be. Okay, so they would go to this prior event registrations page. We're going to have, in this functions one, we're going to have a thing where they can view their transcript PDF. And so probably at the top here, I would make a link that says, see yearly transcript or see all transcripts for a year or something like that they could then go into, pick the year, and then it would generate one big batch PDF of all of them.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that is actually nice.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Cool. Let me make a note here. So we're going to generate batch transcripts. Member, add to event history option. Okay, great. All right.
I have another thing on the transcript.
Yeah.
Valerie is not an operator. So on the transcript for operators, underneath their name, if they have operator license information, we put that information in the address block so
Okay.
that they can to make sure we're reporting to the right entity with the right information.
Now, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I can send you, and that information is going to be part of our member data,
Okay.
along with their address. So, but I can send you an example that shows what that looks like.
Yeah, that would be great.
So those lines would only show up if the person actually has that data.
Okay. Yeah, I can, as long as that's in the member database, I can definitely do that. I'll have to wait. I can put a placeholder in for now, but I'll have to wait until the data is converted to know exactly where that field is going to be mapped. But I've done that for people before, so I can definitely do that for you.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, what did you call that? What was that number? License number?
License number. There are actually 4 different fields, 2 for Kentucky and 2 for Tennessee. So I'll send you a couple of examples, one for somebody that just has Kentucky, one for someone who has both, and one for someone who has just Tennessee.
Okay. So if they have both, though, they both should show up?
Yeah.
Okay. No problem at all. Making a note here. The license number, transcript, multiples, show. Oh. Okay, cool. I can definitely do that. We have a way to check and see if somebody registers as a member and then link back to their member account. So as long as they register as a member, then I can pull that info out of there. And we have different ways. I'm not sure if Brad showed you, but we have different ways that we can validate for membership when people come in for events. So as long as we have one of those turned on, we'll be all good with that.
Okay. And then another thing along with that operator information, because we do have operator information, we will need to actually put that information, send that information in a list format to Kentucky or Tennessee. So I can send you examples of what we have to send them. But our current database, I can create a query I have created a query that allows me to generate that data. If someone has in our database anywhere the license information, I can, this event, please, spit out that information, like the list of people and how many hours they earned for this event.
Yeah, so, we'll just have to see if you can send me an example of exactly what you have to send to them. We'll be able to replicate that probably. Okay. And is that event data that you're sending them?
It's per event.
Okay. Okay.
How many hours that person earned for that event.
Okay. Yeah, if you just send me a copy of typically what you send them, then we can take a look at that and get some kind of replica in there for you. Okay. All right. I think that was all the options I had, or the questions I had on the transcripts. Did you guys have anything else to add, or do you think we covered it all here?
I think that's all I have for now.
All right.
Yeah, me too.
Cool. All right. So then we've got a custom badge printout, and I don't have a copy of this one. Do you guys have a copy of exactly how you'd want that to look, or what's going to be on there?
Valerie, do you want to? I was thinking it would be like the WPC one, that we would change to that, so that's one sheet per.
Yeah. I think that's fun.
Badge generation wise, but I think that might be the easier one to do for this.
Right. I think my only, this is my issue with name badges in general, is that, people are usually trying to see them from a distance, like, you know the person, you can't think of their name, and you're trying to see their name. Sometimes what we want is our first name to show up the largest, and then the last name smaller. But sometimes, based on, I think, just overall, someone has a really long name, and then everybody's name gets smaller. Is there a way to customize that? Does that make sense?
I see what you're saying. Because you're right, we have to program to the lowest common denominator sometimes, and if somebody has a super long name, we need to account for that. what I've done in the past is, and again, there's not, unfortunately, there's not a good way to make this look great for everybody in those cases. So, like, if we make the font one size, but this guy has a 20-letter last name, it's going to overflow on the thing. So we can shrink the font for everybody, but then everybody has a small name. We can do
Right.
different things. Like I can look at the characters in the last name. Like I'm able to do that in programming. So I can say, okay, how many characters are in this last name? And I can say, okay, if it's under 10, it can be this font size. If it's under 15 or between 10 and 15, it can be this font size. So we can go on and on like that and do some kind of stuff.
Okay. I was just thinking, is there some way that we can be like, the font size, typical first names, are 7 letters. And for that, we're going to make the font this size so that we can maximize the horizontal space on that, and vertical space on that name badge so we can really see that name. But if there's a name that doesn't fit, it'll flag it and we'll be able to shrink just that badge.
Yes. The only catch there is that you guys wouldn't be able to change it. We would have to program in all these rules ahead of time. The way that programming works is it's an always kind of thing. So it always follows whatever rules I have set up. So if I say the font size is going to be 12 pixels, the font is always going to be 12, unless I say, the font is 12 pixels, unless the name is above 10 characters, then it's going to be, 10 pixels. Or unless it's over 20 characters, then it's going to be this. So as long as we have those rules and we set them up ahead of time, then yeah, we can definitely do that kind of thing.
Okay. I would like to do that. I don't think we've ever had that ability to do that.
Okay.
First names tend to be a little bit shorter than last names, but the last names are smaller font than the first names.
Okay. Well, I can say from my perspective, just to program something like that's fairly easy. That's not going to take me much time to add in at all. But what will take time is so I'll get this set up and we'll have what we think are all the great rules. And then you'll actually have people registering and then you'll look and go, oh, well, we need to adjust based on this kind of thing. And then we need to adjust based on this kind of thing. So that I'm just telling you ahead of time, that will definitely happen. And I'm more than willing to make adjustments to it at that point. But it will take those kind of two different processes to go through. We will almost never know exactly how it will work until somebody is actually registering, and then we go, oh, you have a 50-character last name that we didn't anticipate, and so you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we work together on that one and you guys test and I add this stuff, we can definitely get this kind of thing working. I don't see any issue with that.
Sounds good.
And then
go
ahead. I'm sorry.
Have actually to fit for field, name field. The problem, Valerie, is for getting it big enough. Like, I know everybody always wants it to be bigger. There's just not that much space on a 4x3 name badge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what we can do is we can program those rules to maximize how good we can make it look and to get the most out of it. So we can definitely do that. But you're right. I mean, there's only so much space that we have, and so.
Well, now we don't put their location, right, Valerie? We took that off.
Able to make it a little bit bigger, but not very. I mean, it's a couple of pixel sizes.
Yeah.
Well,
right now,
I'll say that you guys are ahead of the curve because I've had clients in the past that they want the name and the address and the session they signed up for and their itinerary all in this tiny little badge, and it's like there's no way that's all going to fit on there, and so you guys are ahead of the curve now. So.
If we
right now we just put their name first and last and their company name and then the bar scanning code, right, Valerie?
The code, and then usually the name of the event is very small across the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, is this going to be like one name badge per person in a big bulk thing, or are you going to have individual like name badges for sessions?
It's one per event.
Okay.
But some people register on site, so we need to be able to. It would be nice to print in bulk, and then to also be able to just print one badge for if someone registers on site or they had a misspelling or.
Okay. Let me think about that. The only issue with printing one at a time is if we're going to print them in a batch, they'll all be together. So we won't be able to single out like one single badge on an 8x11 sheet. But what you can do is you can generate the PDF and then just print that page that they're on if you wanted.
Is it?
Let me just pull this up here.
Both?
I'm sorry, is it possible what?
it all to do both. So, like, I need to be able to print the whole batch that we have pre-registered at one time. It's already a slow enough process. People get antsy as they're checking in to have to look up their, to find their name on the page. And the whole thing is going to be irritating for them and for me.
Okay, so is it going to be something like this, like just for your general, like the first main name badge that you generate, is it going to look something like this, like so that we'll have every person kind of with their own badge like this?
Well, that's kind of what we were talking about, that maybe I think that the badges that I sent in to Lisa were one name per 8.5 by 11 sheet.
Okay.
Does it seem like that would be easier for your system?
Yeah, definitely.
Person.
Let me see here. It might be best if you do you have any examples of that you could send me that I could take a look at later?
I do.
Okay.
And Lori and I might talk about that offline too. I was wondering if it's possible to get to set up a couple of different name badge templates. So if we wanted to do like there are just a couple of different badge stocks that we use currently. So we could use examples maybe and let you tell us what would work, or if we could have both and choose from them.
Yeah.
Our current system,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
We have like 2 different kinds of badges, and I can choose which type I want to run for that event or for that person.
Right. Well, you can see here we've got a whole bunch of different custom name badges that are already in the system. And so what typically happens is when somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, Bill, I need an Avery template for 5392." I'll make that, and then I'll make it available for all the clients. So then we increase the name badge options that we have available. What else I tell people though is that we have because I'll have some people that they want custom name badges for every single event, and it takes me about 2 or 3 hours to create a brand new template for one of these. What we also have is this CSV export. It's this one right here. This basically gives you all the attendee data in a spreadsheet format. And are you familiar with doing a mail merge in Word at all?
Yeah, but I really don't want to have to do that.
Okay, I'm just giving you an option here because, like I said, I have people come to me all the time that they want 10 different new name badges, and that's going to be, 20 hours for them to be able to do that. Or they can, do the CSV export and do the mail merge for free. So that's always an option if you have just an oddball one for one event that you don't necessarily want to pay $300 or $400 for me to make a new one. You can just make it yourself right here. But like I said, the option for us to make name badges and custom templates always is there. So I do this on a weekly basis for people. So
if we do use the one that's one per person, so it would be kind of like another PDF report per individual. And then could it be the same thing, running the same kind of report as if we ran a yearly transcript and brought in all those PDFs? At the beginning, I could run one batch of all pre-registered people for that event into one PDF.
Yeah, as long as if we were making one sheet per person, then yeah, we can most definitely do that. It's the issue is when we're kind of creating a big batch like this with one after another, then it gets really difficult because it's all one document. But if each person is one page, then yeah, we can definitely do that. We can have it print off just one person's info or the bulk, kind of like the transcript. So.
Okay. Well, we're going to be meeting on Friday to talk about our data conversion, so we can talk about that then and send you those samples.
Perfect. Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds perfect. And then just so that you can see where we'll put this at, let me get to the attendance check-in page again. So this is our main check-in page that we've made just for when you're checking people in and out of the overall event. And so right now I have the name badges over here. We've got a different custom ones that I showed you before, but I can change this link to the ones that we create for you over there so that you can use this one when you're checking people in also.
Okay.
All right, so that is the badge one. Okay, so now the attendance tracking option. So this for this one, what I'm planning here, so right now we can check if people attended the event or not attended the event, but we don't have the ability to check and see if they attended specific fields or sessions or things like that within the event. So that's what this one deals with here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a separate table here in the system that's going to collect and store attendance data based on sessions. And then we're going to, where is this one here? And then I'm going to make something that's going to process these CSV files, because this is the correct output, right, from the scanner. I had this that somebody sent me at one point.
It is. We might drop off the time information because I have to get rid of duplicates, so that very last field won't be there. But in some cases it will. So I don't think it would, as long as it can be empty, that field can be empty when we send it, upload it, then yes.
Yep, that'll be perfect here. So what I'll do on my end is I will make, I'm going to do two things here. I'm going to make the ability, first of all, to record attendance for specific fields. And I'm going to give you the manual ability to do that per field. So you'll be able to go in and just manually add or check somebody in or out per field. And then I'll also make the function where you can do the bulk upload like this. And you can upload the CSV and it will automatically add all those attendance records for people. So that'll give you the option that if you've got all the attendance records, you scan them in there and bam, we're good. And then somebody comes up to you a week later and says, oh, I attended this, but I forgot to get scanned out. You'll be able to go into there and then just manually add them to the thing without having to worry about doing another scanner or something like that. Okay. Does that sound like that'll work for your purposes?
It does. We currently, I put this information into an Excel spreadsheet, and then like each event has an event ID in our current system. And so we add another column to this information before we put it into our database that maps it to event. Will the uploads be just to this event? Will they be in the, I don't know, are we going to need that information, I guess?
Yes, that would be really helpful to have the event ID in there. But even if you just have these ones here, I'm assuming that this would be like the session ID, this first one here.
That is the session ID within the event.
And then this would be the attendee ID, correct?
That's currently their registration ID.
Okay.
Generated by the registration system.
Perfect. Yeah, so basically what I'll do is I'll make you an ability where you can upload the CSV. It will look at this field number first. And the way that our fields are set up, each one of them also stores the event number. So as long as I have the field number, I'll know what the event ID is directly from that. So we don't necessarily have to have the event ID in there. As long as the field ID is in there, that's going to be enough for me, for my purposes.
Yep.
But I'll look at that, I'll say, okay, so for this field, we're going to add this person to the attendance record on this date, and bam, it will create that record for us. And then it's just going to chunk through each one of these that's on here. So you can even combine different ones, and it looks like there are. So we've got 2411 and 2413. So yeah, so this output will work perfectly fine. It'll just go through there and just see what the IDs are and match them up properly.
Well, so this is my question. We assign those IDs right now for the session. And for I'm still dreaming that one day our big conference would run through this system as well. Right now that's not a possibility, but one day I'm hoping. Okay. And we kind of use the same session ID for time slots in that conference, well, in other conferences too. So like I'll start one day and it'll be 101, 102, 103 for the first day of a 2-day conference, and then 201, 202 so that they just only have to change that one number. Are you going to need to generate the session code, that first column there, or can we set that as I enter in?
It would be much, much, much easier if we set it and then you use the one that we set. And so I could put in, if I was looking at the event fields, I could show you exactly what that ID was so that you would know what it was. But it's going to be far easier on everybody if you can use the IDs that are in the system. Otherwise, it's going to take a lot longer because we'll have to set up whole new systems to handle you setting up custom numbers for that. So it's possible, but it's going to take longer than the original time that we quoted for that, if you want to do it that way.
It's fine as long as I can generate a list of those sessions with the code that you guys assign, because our scanner operators actually have to enter that information in.
Okay.
And then scan everyone, it says session ID, they enter in the, 3 to 4 digit number, and then they scan everyone on that session, and then for the next session, they just go back, change that number to the next session, and a print out of all the sessions that day, and they follow that to know what code is for each session.
Yeah, I can definitely make you a report like that. That would be far easier than trying to let you set your own ones for that. So I could definitely print you off or create a report that has session name, ID, and then on down the list, so they would know exactly what the ID numbers were.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, let me make a note for that. So report to list session names and IDs. Yeah, I doubt a report like that would take me more than a half an hour. It's very simple data to put in. So,
Okay.
all right. So let me see if I had any other questions about that one. So we'll upload that. Okay, yeah, that was all the questions I had on that one. Did you guys have any other questions about that?
I don't.
And then we'll use this data to determine how the transcripts are made too. So we'll look at and see if they attended something in order to create the transcript option for them on there.
Okay.
All right, and then the very last part that I had was to build the custom barcodes to match your scanners. This typically is not difficult at all. I just need to know the exact make and model of the scanner that you're using, and then I can build a barcode to match.
Okay.
Most of them are fairly similar, but I've dealt with some oddball ones before that have their own little proprietary things and stuff. So I just need to know exactly what kind we've got, and I can make something for that.
I do have one question.
Yeah.
Back to the attendance tracking. I assume that there's some way that you're going to write this so that that attendee number is their registration ID that they get when they register, but it's not necessarily their member ID. That somehow you can match those two things so that that information is put back into their member portal.
Yes, like I said before, as long as they start registration as a member, and just to give you an example of this, I think I've got it set up on here already. We have two different options when people start sign up. We can do something called email lookup, which is the first screen that they see, they'll enter in their email, and it will look to see if it matches a member ID, and if it matches a member email, and if it does, then it will kind of link those accounts together. The other option, which I actually like better, is a forced login screen. So let me open this here. Okay, so if I was going to go register for this event, I'll click here to start registration. And then the very first screen that I get is this one that asks me if I'm a member. I can put my login information here, or I can sign up as a guest. So right from here, if I sign up as a member and start registration that way, it knows exactly who I am. It puts a hard link in that registration record directly back to my member account. So those are linked together pretty tightly there. If I register as a guest, then it knows that I'm not a member, and this is just its own registration thing to match up. Now, we do also have some other things that we can look at, some other reports. They're not quite as reliable as this, but they will look at and see if the first and the last name and the email match, and if so, then it will assume that, okay, then this is probably you register as a member, or you are a member, but you did not register as a member for this event. But as long as you enforce something strict like this at the beginning, like I said, I really recommend using this screen here. It will really make your data a lot cleaner, and you can be sure that people are registering as members that way. But either way, yeah, we have lots of ways to link them back to the member account, and I can actually show you here. So one, they can view them on that screen that we looked at before, the prior event registration ones here. So they can view their stuff from there, and then you as an admin, when you're looking at people in the member database, just pull someone up here. I'm going to pull myself up because I know I'm registered for a ton of events on here because I test it all the time. If you look at their profile information here, we've got all their billing info down here, cross-references, event registration. Okay, so if you look at their profile, you can see all of the ones that they signed up for, and it will also, see, so this one is checking, it's looking for ones that are hard tied to my account and also ones that match William Bross on here and see if anybody else will fit into that too. So that's definitely something you can do. You can even refine it. We also have tools here. Let me go back out. we have a tool here called Match Event Reg to Member. So if you end up with a bunch of orphaned member accounts and you're like, oh, I know that this person's a member, but their registration, they didn't register as a member for whatever reason, you can use the match tool here. Let this load up. And it's going to show you ones that, these are ones that aren't matched to anything, but I can mark as match. I can pick the match from a list. I can mark it as unmatchable, or I can just create them as a prospect and then connect them to that record. So we have lots of ways that you can go back in after the fact and say, and sort of fix data if the members didn't register correctly. So
I like that.
Or they become a member, and then you can go back and match it.
Yeah. So so this one here, my contact data. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to do that.
I was going to say, by the time, an example would be they register for the event, they're not a member, and then afterwards they decide to become a member.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can go back and match that non-member to member information at that point.
Exactly. Yeah, that's 100% correct.
Okay.
And we also have a function that we can turn on where if they register as a non-member, we can, at the end of registration, we can actually take all that information and make them into a prospect and then link that event to the prospect account. And then if they decide to become a member later, instead of creating a brand new account, they actually just upgrade that prospect account and everything is already tied together as it should be. So.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, so
okay,
like I said, we've got tons of options for ways to do that. So, if they don't create the prospect account, you can do this. If they do, we can upgrade the prospect account, et cetera, et cetera. So, and these are all, I should say this too, these are all pretty advanced functions. I'm pretty sure you didn't go over any of these in the training just because not a lot of people use them, but they are there as tools, like for people to get really advanced into it. So it sounds like this might be a good thing for you guys to use, or at least to have the option to use if you need to.
Yep, I like it.
Cool. Okay. I'll make a note, because this isn't turned on for everybody, but I'll make a note to turn that on. So turn on average. Okay. So I will do that for you after we get off the phone.
Thank you.
All right. I think that was all the questions that I had. Did you guys have any more questions for me or just in general or anything?
I don't. Valerie, do you?
I don't know. It seems like my dog does, but no.
And my puppy's actually been quiet today. I'm kind of surprised, but. All right. Well, what I will start working on first then is I will probably start building the CEU fields into EventReg and then probably start working on the attendance after that. And I'll hold off on the badges and some of the other stuff until I hear back from you guys. But otherwise, I'll get started working through this list. Let's see what else. Going over my notes here. Yeah, I don't think I have any other questions. I might later as I get into things, and I'll be sure to let you guys know. And of course, if you guys have any questions in the meantime for me, or you think of anything later, feel free to send me an email or a ticket or something.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Well, like I said, I'll get started on this today, and I'll keep you guys updated too as I get stuff done. But yeah, if you have any questions in the meantime, just let me know.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys a lot. It's good meeting both of you.
Okay. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.